My journey began back in 2010. So I started my masters, and that was in the field of computer science. There was one lecture from Professor Antonella De Angeli. I did my masters at the University of Trento in Italy, and the lecture was on human-computer interaction. So in the first lecture, she explains that she designed India's first ATM machine. I wondered actually, because prior to that I was like a typical software engineer. I studied my IT in engineering, and I was same as other folks who doesn't really care about design at all. And that was a kind of a striking moment when my professor said that she designed India's first ATM machine. I gradually understood like the importance of design and what it can add value in the human life. So that's where it built my interest, and I was a part of various workshops, courses in the same field in US and in Europe, and that's where I got to know about a lot of things, right? Like the importance of design, the user-centered design approach, got hands-on experience with all the methods and methodology that we have to use in design field. But there are other aspects also. So usually one of the key learning that I had from my masters was like, and again it maps with one of the famous book called Vignali Canon. So Massimo Vignali, I guess most of the designers know him. So he has designed everything, in fact, from poster design to like digital design. He has worked on even architectural side. He has designed also the metro roadmap, etc. But when I read that book, one of the key things that he says and he mentions that design is one, and that is somehow, if you gradually see in each and every design disciplines, it is more or less the same. Let's take an example. If you try to see graphic design, right? People believe that graphic design is just about designing a banner. No, you need to literally think for business aspect, like what is the business purpose of designing your banner. Yeah. Eventually, you have to also think like, okay, what will attract your user, and the combination of both will be the final work. Yeah. The same applies in each and every
graphic design is not to look fancy, to make people to buy things.
Exactly. So that's where my always concern, I would say, like we've been hearing lots and lots of terms these days: UX design, interaction design, product design, UI design, graphic design, industrial design, so on and so forth. But to be honest, when I read that book, I felt that design is one. What you do as a designer is you solve the problem, and that's what makes me excited. Every day I solve the problem, and I feel really great about that. So fortunately, I got a chance to work in startup as well as in a big organization like Designers.He. So I've got a kind of a different flavor. What works in different environment is a kind of a tricky. And as you have rightly said that in startup we do have less resources, right? And they have to do a lot of work, and that creates a kind of challenges, like whether you get sufficient time for research work or not. In my experience, this is my second startup where I'm working right now. It's called ThoughtSpot, and prior to that I worked with lending kart, and prior to that I worked in different organizations. But what I see is, genuinely is like, if you see the booming of UX, which has came in India and also abroad, is primarily because of startup. They are highly focused on consumers. They literally believe about problem solving. I've worked also in big organization, but I've rarely seen that people do a kind of aggressive research that in fact a startup do. Though I understand that they have less time, they have less resources, but whatever they can do, they are doing their best. Working at lending card, my experience was like, I was getting a kind of, initially I was not getting time for research work, but then if the problem statement is a kind of so tricky, then the management and my manager, who's a great guy, his name is Nihit Nirmo, he used to give me time for research work. But ultimately, if you need to solve something really difficult, where you need more qualitative insights, then you have to have user research, right? Irrespective of the organization, it can be startup, it can be bigger organization. But what I see genuinely, that what you do as a research work in startup can be immediately applied than the big organization, especially in context of India. I genuinely feel that the design thinking or user-centered design approach, this can fit in any organization type. Ultimately, the purpose of this framework is helping you as a designer to come up with a better solution and to solve the problem. Now, of course, different, as I mentioned earlier, also different environment have different concerns or challenges. In startup, the time is the limitation, whereas in big organization, you have so many hierarchies. So there are different type of challenges that exist, but it can apply to, any sort of company or organization. It does not have actually a limit. However, it's all about portfolio. And if you have a right portfolio, they don't even care about whether you have got education in design. They don't in fact care about whether you have certification or not. I know best designers in India, and most of these designers does not have any certification, and they don't have any degree. In fact, they don't have any graduation also. I tell you the name, Kartik Mahant. He is from Gujarat, and he is one of the best designers. He does not hold any education in design. Sanjay Makasana, he is also a great designer. He is a BCA, right? Bachelor of Computer Application. Paresh Khatri, he doesn't have any certification. Paresh Khatri is well known in India. So most of the great designers whom I have personally met and who are really great from their work, they don't have any certification. They don't have any education in design. It's a kind of a mindset that we have got somewhere that you need to have a certification to get a job. No, if you can solve the problem, then you can be a great designer. And that's where it's a kind of sad to see so many institutes coming out here. Perhaps you look at in Bangalore also. They just teach for making money. They teach 50 people together. Design cannot be learned in that way. Designing is not doing about learning about Photoshop. You spend time 1 or 2 months just to learn Photoshop. That is not really design, right? It's all about building the right thought process. Tool is there for sure, but it is just 10% of your work. No one really understands, and especially this problem is a kind of not a problem for those who are a professional, but for those who are fresher, those who want to really get into the field. They don't know about the field, but they are ending up with a wrong solution or certification which does not make any impact, and they are not getting right learning also. In fact, what I encourage is, like always I tell many of my connections that rather follow IDF. You will have core understanding about design, what is design. Though it does not provide practical training, but at least you learn what is design, that you don't learn in this physical classroom trainings which is happening right here. So this is a kind of, sometimes I feel pain about it, that why these things are happening, but ultimately they don't have a right solution for it. That's the problem. So certification doesn't make any sense.
The thirst to solve problems.
So these days there is a trend, I've been seeing, and it's again a funny trend, and I've been getting also profiles when we recruit for new designers. So ultimately, people have started also considering, not all of them, but many of them, especially freshers, have started considering that you need to upload to be a designer. You need to especially create dribble shots to be a designer. Actually, dribble shot is of course helpful, but that's not about it, right? You need to showcase your whole skill set. How do you showcase your skill set? It's ultimately a portfolio. Of course, in dribble also you can prepare a portfolio, but ultimately what people look in your portfolio, it's not only about the visual part, right? People put so many stuffs there without even providing the right reasoning. Does not add any value. Of course, if you have a right portfolio, then it consists of everything. What process you have followed, whether you have done user research or not. If you have done, which method you have selected, how much time you have spent, what was the outcome, how it implied to the design work. And then once you have got a design work, how you have tested and validated your assumptions. Once you have validated, then how it proceeded with the development part of it. So you need to showcase the importance of your entire project end to end. It's not about creating a dribble shot.
It is more like what is the problem and how you are
Exactly.
dealing with the problem.
Right.
And what is the methodology you are using to solve the problem.
Exactly.
And how you are solving the problem.
Exactly.
That's how a profile should be. Is what you're saying?
Exactly. So your portfolio should be shown strong enough, which can convey all the skill set about your capability of research, design, and validation. It's a good question again, and most of folks feel challenging this. How to start, basically. It's a good question. So perhaps one of the ways like to at least read some foundation book about design and understand the core concept of design. I've seen many people. I have discussed with many people. They usually say design is all about aesthetic or those like a good visual stuffs. But that's where the beginning of the understanding of design is wrong, right? Now, even if they learn somewhere, then they cannot get to a level where they really have to be, right? So, understanding the core concept of design and foundation of design is tricky. And that's where if they read a kind of books like Introduction Design by Presse or, as I said earlier, also like Vinnelli Cannon, or there are other books like Human-Computer Interaction by Alan Dix. So these books are really good. By reading at least one book will give you all the information that you should know as a designer, or at least it will tell you what you need to know as a designer, right? So it will help you to understand, okay, what design is and what design is not, right? And that's where that will encourage you to understand yourself also, whether you want to do this whole activity or not, right? If you realize that earlier and if you are passionate enough for that, then go for it. If you think that no, this is not something that I'm interested in, it is just because of buzz, then you just stop yourself. Yeah. But at least you should assess yourself before jumping into it.
Don't take design just because of the buzz.
Exactly.
If you really want to solve problems, if you really want to do something inside design, just stick with that.
Exactly. But one also observation that I had from my experience only, that if you are passionate design, if you have passion for design, then this field does not have any boundaries. That's the beauty of this field. I rarely see a field which is like that. You don't really need education for this. You don't really need a certification for this. If you have a strong portfolio, you are more than welcome. And company would look for you. I mean, if you have really good work. So, if let's say if you are passionate truly for design field, then there's a a way for you.
Okay, cool.
I was in Europe, I did my masters. What I learned there is like even though if it is a small organization or a startup, they put enough efforts to get right design, and they heavily invest in design. And that's where what I see is the biggest difference. When I came back to India, I was literally feeling that why Indian companies are not investing it, or why Indian companies are not looking for good talent in design. But it's a kind of an ecosystem, right? So if you look at how India has grown in IT sector, is really a big success story. If you look at most of the organization have offices now in Bangalore also, right? But at the same time, still the awareness is less compared to other countries in India. Countries like United States or European countries, they really put efforts. And they have a kind of a dedicated budget for design, and they really do a great job from that perspective, which still is not, we are not still there, but things are happening right now. I've been seeing the companies like a traditional companies, Wipro, Infosys or Tata, they have started a special dedicated teams or dedicated unit called digital, Wipro Digital, or like Infosys have their own digital department, kind of that. So things are happening. It will evolve and it will change. It may take some time. That's what I see.
Okay. So
I was amazed to see that we have all digital products now, and that's a kind of exciting. Though our population is not gearing up in tech savvy more, but still we have solutions. Just imagine that we have a mobile app, and that is for booking a bus service, and that is from government, right? And it really works well. Though experience sucks, but that's where we do innovations. So things are there. I truly see huge potential for designers.
And it is gearing up.
It's gearing up.
Maybe in a couple of years or something, it will boom.
It will boom. I mean, right now it is already.
It is booming.
Yes. If you see another scenario, especially for enterprises also, right? You don't see UX there. It's coming right now. The field will grow a lot in coming years. As again I said and I repeat, design is one. Whatever design work you get, you should do end to end. In other words, ultimately, the PM or manager has to give just a problem statement. Your role is to give a solution. It can be just a simple banner, graphic banner. It can be also a notification. It can be a kind of a small feature or functionality in website or mobile app. Or it can be a kind of a new website or mobile app. In fact, it can be also email design. So ultimately, I certainly feel really happy if I work on end-to-end design work. So I get problem statement, the rest of the job is mine. And that excites me like anything.
Okay, till the development part, till you get the product?
No, not development. So to be honest, I have never written a single line of code till date. HTML, CSS, I have never worked on, and I really don't like it. That's again a second aspect. So it is up to people. If they like it, they can definitely do that front-end development. But it is not mandatory. That's what I have seen and that's what I have experienced. And it is not required. But at least if you know, so that's where I truly feel that why to distinguish UX and UI, why to fight for that, and who gets advantage and who gets disadvantage? We only, right? Let's say if we say that UX and UI is different. As a UI designer, I will not do wireframe and the research part. As a UX designer, I will not do UI design at all. That actually gives you kind of it blocks you ultimately. And if it blocks you, then you are not learning something new. Let's say if you do end-to-end everything, you can do that. I mean, there's no problem. And actually, you will be a better designer if you do everything. You will not be dependent on anyone. And in fact, you will have better opportunity than other designers.
To be a full stack designer.
Exactly. I have seen most of the folks I have discussed with, they don't know about
how will you explain them?
So I tell you, the best approach that I take usually is this. So, for example, if you have a choice of having a tea, and if you wanted to have at your home, I give you two choices. Right? One is like a regular mug that you use for having a tea, or a disposable mug. Right? Which one would you choose? People would immediately say that the regular one which I use at home. Now the same thing I give a different context. You want to have a tea, but it's on a street. Okay, and a tea stall, you go there, you have two choices again. They provide you a kind of a steel mug or a disposable mug. Which one would you choose? Then usually people say that they will go with the disposable. Now if you understand this thing, then they understand UX and UI and everything, and design in fact. So these two mugs are two different designs, but your choice differed based on the location or the context or the environment. So these two designs, once you interact with these two mugs, and when you have it as a like in a given environment, whatever experience it generates, that's the user experience. And these two mugs are two different designs. I don't want to call it out as a UX design or UI design, but these two mugs are designs. But it gives different experience in different environment. And that makes you understand what is design. And design is not about, like just a UX part, right? It's all about providing a right solution for a right environment and giving a satisfactory experience. So now let's say if you are at like a tea stall, if they don't have disposable glass, you might not even have tea. People don't even prefer that.
Yeah.
So you're not solving a problem. Right? So this is a kind of a simple analogy that I usually share, and that's how I explain it, the difference between UI and UX. And
it's very simple and powerful too, because it is very relatable.
To be honest, I don't want to be a leader. That's my personal choice. But I certainly feel that, at present, if I'm solving, let's say, 5 problems, after 10 years, I should be solving 50 problems. So if I do that with the help of team or with the help of mentees or whoever can
that will automatically make you great.
Right. So that can be the best achievement personally for me. But when it comes to routine, I certainly have a precise routine. I have a yoga session every day in the morning, and usually I try to discuss with a lot of people, try to learn from them. I truly believe that design is all about learning. No one is really great in that, but you can learn from small things, and that makes you a great person and also a designer. One of the key things which I do on regular basis, at least to see one product in detail, I follow product hunt, and also I usually see land book where I keep seeing product every day, or at least one product in depth, and I try to learn as much as I can, and that gives me a kind of an opportunity to learn on day-to-day basis. And one of the key activity that I do at the night time is like at least I think like what I have done today. And that gives a kind of
basically revisit the day.
Exactly. So that's a kind of habit that I've been following for many years. But it gives a kind of opportunity to know yourself and see what you have learned in your entire day. And it gives you a good opportunity. I truly feel that design is a field which gives you that opportunity. You learn every day. And perhaps I don't know whether that happens in other field, but I truly believe that design is definitely a field which gives you this opportunity, learning every day. Yeah, I certainly feel that it's always a kind of a gradual process. Right now we are working on various aspects. Like in day-to-day life, if you see, most of the designers work on website, mobile app, or other stuffs. AR and VR is coming up. Artificial intelligence has played a big role in recent field. So certainly, I feel that the core remains the same. The approach and the tendency to solve the problem, but things will evolve based on the time to time, and things will change. But personally, I have not worked on AR or VR, so I can't see that like how it will evolve. But I certainly feel that it will evolve over the period of time.
How it is
So
possible to?
There is a story behind this actually. What happened when I came back to India? I gave nearly 45 interviews to get my first job.
45, oh my god.
And that was so painful journey. I was literally in pain. People were asking for, like, do you know Photoshop, do you know Illustrator? And then you are a designer. I was not looking for that sort of jobs. I learned something else. I learned about design thinking, user-centered design approach. No one were really speaking about that. And that triggered me like anything. I wrote article also on LinkedIn on that time, like what design is all about and what recruiters are thinking. And on that time I realized that the same situation would be there for thousands of people, right? Not only me. On similar time, what happened, the Career Foundry, which provides education in design, they reached out to me and they said that would you be interested to become a mentor? I appeared for interview and then I became a mentor. Gradually, I started teaching students. Till date, it's now nearly more than 4 years of experience in mentorship. I have taught more than 130 students now across 25 countries. And what has happened in these 4 years is a kind of, I don't have even words to convey that what I have learned. I've got amazing people as my mentee. I have learned a lot from them. Perhaps they would have less learned from me. And the best part is like, in design, when they work on a project, right, they would have personal questions. It's based on their thought process or their reasoning, etc. But when you truly, engage with them, you learn a lot. And that makes you more also perfect. So I honestly believe that, mentorship is not only about teaching someone, it's about exchanging knowledge and learning from each other. And that's where I've learned a lot, and I feel really great when my student gets really good career path or a good company. One of my student recently, like a few months back, got a job in Dubai, and she flew from Chennai to Dubai. Another student has got a job from Pondicherry to Luxembourg. So these are like this gives you kind of a satisfaction, and perhaps I feel like I can't get this satisfaction elsewhere. So this is a kind of like a thing which keeps me motivated to exchange knowledge and learn from them as well. And if I can be a part of one's success life, then that's ultimate feeling, and I really enjoy doing that.